What's up guys, and welcome back to Top 5 Scary Videos. The internet is a wild place. Whatever you're in the mood for, the internet has always got your back. If you want to see some guys make an in-ground pool with a couple of sticks, no problem. Here's 10 hours of that, boom, done. Want to see some kids falling off their bikes? Easy. But it's also loaded with countless creepy stories. And today I picked 5 of those stories to break down for you guys. So on that note, I'm Taylor McWatters, and here are our top 5 scary stories from the internet. Number 5, the Disappearing Fiance. I wanted to start off on a real juicy one. Okay, so this story was posted in an Unresolved Mysteries thread from 2018, and it's quite fun. Mateusz Kowecki, a 30-year-old man from a small village in Poland named Hutkow, received a call that he was going to be a father. That's wonderful, it's right, his fiance was going into labor. So as you can imagine, that's a very nice phone call to have. So right after work, he set out at about 11:30 at night to be there. The trip was about a 650-kilometer drive, so it would take a little while. They've been doing the whole long distance thing because he works in Hanover, Germany with his father, and his fiance lives in Lipia Góra, Poland. So he could have got there at like 8 or 9 a.m. Well, he should have, rather. And now things get a little messed. According to his father, when he talked to him on the phone, he said there was a lot of traffic and he was stressing out a bit, as one could imagine. So he finally sends a text message to his wife saying that he'll be there in 2 hours, which is always awesome. Like, yo, I love when people give me a heads up when they're arriving. If you're the type to just show up without sending a 10-minute warning, shame on you. Shame. Shame, Game of Thrones watchers, there you go. So 2 hours away, got it? He doesn't show up. Yikes. So his fiance calls Mateusz's sister. Nobody was getting through to this guy. The phone was ringing, by the way. It wasn't dead and going straight to voicemail. It was ringing through. So Mateusz's mom suggests filing a police report, and hours later they all agree, you know what, it's probably time. So they report him missing in both Poland and Germany because he was right in the middle. He came from one to the other. They have no idea where he could have gone in that frame. So days go by and they finally try locating his phone's, location. It's a bust. The Mateusz family begin to search for him themselves. And they check his entire route. I'm talking shops, gas stations, even putting up photos and flyers of him around town. Cut to 6 entire months go by. Holy September 10th, the family gets a knock on the door. Their neighbor is concerned about a foul smell coming from the Mateusz family barn. So they check it out, and hidden in the attic part, like up tucked behind, was Mateusz's body with his head not attached. So it's been 6 months since his body was missing, so it was at a point where you couldn't even necessarily identify the body. But his bag was there with all his belongings, and the police considered it suicide and they returned his property back to the family. Then 4 days later, yeah, this isn't done yet, 4 days later they find his shoe with his foot still inside of it. So they start questioning why this wasn't brought up in the autopsy. I mean, yo, it's a shoe with a foot. This should have been known. And also, his head even had the teeth knocked out, or they'd fallen out, one of the two. Either way, the teeth was stuck on his bloody sweater. And to this day, they haven't been able to find the car. The family even said it's impossible not to notice this guy's body hanging in their barn all summer. There's just no way. That plus the fact that police didn't really try or give a damn for the entire search. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this one. I'll be sure to keep my eye on it. Number 4, Tattletail from the afterlife. Okay, this next one comes from a ghost stories thread, and I personally love ghost stories. They always send a chill down my spine, and this next one makes no exception. This comes from user I've Gotten Identity Mad, solid name. Bit of a sad start, but his older sister had passed away when she was just 5 years old, a year before he was actually born. And he says his mom, to this day, is still attached to her spiritually. He even says that he has more stories like this to share, which I will keep an eye out. So yes, I will check those out, sir. So, when he was in his 20s, he had taken up smoking, like all the cool kids do. Kidding, don't smoke. And then one day his mom cornered him in the kitchen, asking him about his smoking habit, and he said no, lying. And the mom explains that Tina, the late 5-year-old sister who had passed away, told her about him smoking in her dream. Okay, and she even referred to it as wacky backy. She didn't call it like cigarettes, she said what a 5-year-old would say. Wacky backy, I guess 5-year-olds say that. Which sounds way cooler, by the way. Hey boss, be back in 5, going out to get some wacky backy. I don't know. So he lied and she believed him. Cut to, a few days later at 4 a.m., his mom bursts into his room and says that Tina had returned in her dream. Lied about smoking the tacky wacky backy. So he finally admitted to it, and the two hashed it out and came across a mutual understanding of this nasty habit. So yeah, my dead sister rats me out sometimes, he concludes. What do you guys think? Would you ever be as chill as this guy is? I mean, I would never get used to that. If I was sitting at home like, oh man, does anyone see my charger? And then my mom's like, 1 sec, let me ask Tina. She says check the living room. No way, I fold. I'd be out of there so fast. What would you guys do? Let us know in the comments, I'm curious. Number 3, imaginary Betty. We go back to 2013 where a recently divorced couple shares custody with their only daughter. She goes back and forth, and whenever she's at her dad's, she always talks to this imaginary friend named Betty. First of all, I never had an imaginary friend, but I know a lot of people who did growing up, and all of their stories, all of them sound creepy. Did you guys have one? How common is this thing? Anywho, what I'm trying to say is the name Betty already sounds like an old ghost. It already sounds creepy. Whenever I hear the name Betty, I always think of like, you know, a nice Aunt Betty. So one day the daughter was seen by her father talking to this imaginary friend Betty in her closet. So creepy. She even refers to Betty as another younger girl. The dad goes on to admit that he's not very good at showing his daughter how to do stuff with her hair. He's a dude. He's like, yeah, I just put a hat on and go to work. I don't know what to tell you. So her mom does her hair mostly. So after one night at her dad's, her mom picks her up the next morning to see that she has 2 perfect French braids, which are not easy to do. And the mom was super impressed. She's like, wow, way to go, you did this for her? Look at you, you're learning. The father admits he had nothing to do with it, although he wished he did. The daughter says that Betty was the one who did her hair the previous night. So the dad broke the contract with the rental agreement on the house and moved out within months. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't even pack my bags, dude. I would just be gone. You wouldn't see me. Hey, you and Betty keep the house. It's all yours. I'm out of here. I'm going to Vermont. I don't know. Anywhere. Bye. Number 2, the ghost conversation. Okay, this one's pretty fresh. It was posted to Reddit only 7 months ago in also a ghost stories thread. The user post says that when he was only 13 years old, his brother, who was 18 at the time, and him got hit by a drunk driver. His older brother was driving the car at the time and he was in the passenger seat. So he woke up 4 days later in the hospital with his brother next to him, giving him words of encouragement, telling him to get stronger, rest up, you know, you got it, just relax. And then the next day his parents had arrived to see how he was doing. So he immediately questioned why his brother wasn't there with him. I mean, he just saw them the night before. And when he asked them, they exchanged a look of concern and then just told him to get rest. That night, his brother again returned to his side. He answered very vague questions and even asked him why he was wearing the same clothes as the previous visit. He said that was very unlike his older brother to wear the same clothes twice in a row. He likes to change it up. Keep it fresh. I get it. So the parents came to visit and finally the guy said, hey, can you guys all visit me at the same time? Like, this is weird. What's going on? With the parents visiting one day, then the brother visiting at night, it's kind of confusing. He even got frustrated and asked why Andy, his brother, only visits at night when he's half asleep and he can't even communicate fully. The parents finally explained to him that Andy had died the night of the accident. So you could imagine the shock. He said he started to freak out and explain how this just wasn't possible, period. So much so that they actually needed to sedate him just to go back to sleep and rest. Cut to years later, his fiance, who had never seen any photos of Andy, she had an experience with him and even described the same clothes he was wearing that night. This is so creepy. First of all, that's really sad. Don't drink and drive like a dumbass. Secondly, if I was in his shoes, I would never be able to sleep. Or maybe I'd find comfort from it. Either way, I don't want to find out. Number 1, Roadblock. There's nothing like leaving a project till last minute. We all do it. I mean, I remember telling my parents I needed construction paper on Sunday at like 8 p.m. Right as they were about to watch Survivor, all tucked in. I'm like, yeah, surprise, I'm the worst. Let's go shopping. This last story takes that moment and makes it far, far, far worse. This was found under a creepy story thread, so the guy who posted the story says this all happened, and it happened apparently to a lot of people in that area. Alright, so it's Sunday night about 6 p.m. This guy gets in his car and drives about 6 miles out of town to his classmate's house. They had some project that was due, they had to flesh it out, whatever, it takes 3 hours. The road there is long and narrow and riddled with potholes, so he took it nice and slow and safe. He gets there, they get the project done, bam bam, about 11 p.m. rolls around, and he decides he's gotta go. So he gets back in his car and heads down the dark 6-mile road. And as he was driving back, he noticed a pickup truck with a camper on top of it. But this truck wasn't parked on the side of the road. It wasn't like a flat tire situation. It was just sitting there sideways, right in the way. And apparently there was a dude just sitting in the driver's seat with his head down against the steering wheel. First of all, what would you have done in this moment? A truck parked sideways, so much so that you had to go around. In that case, you'd end up just in a ditch. I don't know, I feel like I'd get out and take a look personally. But our user didn't, luckily. So he saw this truck and he heard about how some people would do this as a ploy to rob others, so he decided, I'm just gonna turn around, get out of here. So in the middle of his 3-point turn, which was now turning into a 6-point turn because of the narrow road, he looks back and he sees the driver is no longer sitting there. Oh shit. And the driver is now walking towards his car at a quick pace, while a few other guys hopped out of the back of the truck and started joining him. Oh shit. again. As if this wasn't bad enough, the driver started to pull on the door handle while he was reversing. Luckily, it was locked, so they didn't get in. Could you imagine? Jesus. He described the robber's face as very dark, leathery, and bruised almost. Kind of like he was wearing a mask in a way. Not the healthiest lad. So he guns it back to his friend's house and they both call the cops. The cops said they heard about this happening a couple times in the area, but not to that extent. So much so that people hop out of the car and try and open it? That's crazy. The friend's parents were nice enough to let the shaken up friend stay the night. He says he still gets adrenaline to this day thinking about it. Yeah, I can imagine, dude. That's so spooky. The fact that these guys were just gonna rob whoever happened to roll around that night, that's just twisted. Plus, I'd be a little nervous too if I was this kid's friend's parents. No way, I don't want you parking in front of our house all night while you stay. What if these hillbillies are out for trouble? What if they're looking for you? No way. Park in the neighbor's driveway for good measure. See the neighbors? Just park there and then we'll come over and then you can sleep here. Done. Well, there you have it, guys. Which one of these creepy stories stuck with you? Let us know in the comments down below. I already have tons of other stories that I'd love to share, but I'll just throw them in part 2. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and while you're there, hit the notification bell so you're up to date on new videos. I'm Taylor McWatters, and thank you for watching. See ya. Just take off this most amazing mask that we got here. What? Covers your mouth and rocks merch. Who knew? What a classic. Available now. Let's go. And here are our top 5 scary stories from the interwebs, the internet. I miss Guitar Hero, eh? That was fun. DJ Hero too, should have gotten a lot more praise. Top 5 reasons why DJ Hero was underrated. Let's do that. Get out of here. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is the name Betty sounds like an old ghost? What did I write here? Am I drunk? This guy sound. How common is this? Anywho, I'm trying to say, is this number 2?
1.
Number 1, alright, let's do it.